Hello and welcome back to our brand new YouTube channel Getting Behind, where today we'll be discussing mandatory transfers that each of the top six must make happen this summer. As the 1920 season has come to a close, we'll be concentrating on the current top six, as well as the traditional big six sides that have missed out on European places this season. A quick disclaimer, we won't touch on Manchester United as we don't want to regurgitate the same content in our previous video. Be sure to check out that video on our channel. We cover three key areas the Reds must make in order to completely rejuvenate their side. There will be a link in the description, so go and check that out after this video. Manchester City are constantly being critiqued for the sheer amount of money they've splashed on their defence over recent years. A hit to Aymeric Laporte essentially determined City's 1920 campaign, having their main centre-half set back with a knee injury earlier on in the season. Having utilised Fernandinho at centre-half, they'd still dropped points from various winning positions and have looked extremely vulnerable on the counter-attack. We presume City will go in for a new centre-half in the summer with the likes of Kalidou Koulibaly available. However, we've decided to focus on their left-back spot. Benjamin Mendy has been shaky time to time at the Etihad since arriving from AS Monaco after picking up several injuries, all being various longevities. Despite occasionally being a threat on the overlap, and having the ability to whip in that low-driven ball across the 6-yard box, he has still looked unconvincing defensively. We feel that Philippe Max would be a crucial addition if City were to go after the title next campaign. Philippe Max is Benjamin Mendy and Alexander Zinchenko and more. The German fullback plays in the Bundesliga for Augsburg. Max is defensively blessed and is more known for his threat going forwards. The German has an engine that seems to never run out of gas. He takes set pieces for Augsburg and is audacious in terms of shooting too, making him the ideal modern fullback. Max has clocked 8 goals and 6 assists this season in 31 apps, an outrageous return from a left-back. He made 87 switches of play during the course of last season too, something City tend to deploy in order to miss the press or shift bodies over to the opposite side of the pitch. Fullbacks are crucial in the modern day, like we said, and Philippe Max epitomises that. As we know, City's strength in depth is glorious elsewhere, so if they sharpen up at the back once more, they'll most likely guarantee silverware again next season. Chelsea had hit the ground running since the resumption and had made a massive statement with the two additions to their forward line in Timo Werner and Hakim Ziyech. Frank Lampard and the board are clearly looking to take advantage of their first official summer window, with strong reports of Bayer Leverkusen's Kai Havertz also close to finalising an £80 million deal at the Blues, with Chelsea still looking weak in the goalkeeping department, as well as wanting another defensive midfielder. The Blues are set to spend an extortionate amount of money over the next 6 weeks. Taking these variables into account, we feel that Lewis Dunk would be an ideal addition to Frank Lampard's back line. The Brighton captain has been pivotal in the Seagulls' backline this season. Brighton were really struggling prior to the COVID-19 outbreak, as they just sat 2 points above the relegation zone. Graham Potter's men had just won 1 in 14 games and in all honesty looked doomed. Despite Brighton's shambolic results against City and United, Lewis Dunk had been a standout performer and had managed to help the Seagulls obtain crucial points in the back end of this campaign. During the 1920 campaign, Dunk had contributed to 3 goals and 3 assists, which is greater output than centre-forward Aaron Connolly. Even the likes of Wilfred Zaha has just got 1 more goal than Lewis Dunk throughout the 1920 season. Dunk's presence standing at 6'4" would be a perfect fit for the Blues. Chelsea's backline doesn't possess a really threatening centre-half bar Antonio Rudiger. Even the German has had an average campaign, plus the likes of Kurt Zouma and Andreas Christensen haven't looked the most convincing when given starts. Lampard has often chopped and changed their defence this season, clearly identifying weaknesses in their various centre-backs. Not having a rigid, solidified backline can cost you games, and it's been evident this season with the vast amount of goals Chelsea have conceded. Taking Kepa Arrizabalaga's shocking season out of the equation, Chelsea have conceded 54 goals, a remarkable tally in comparison to the remainder of the top 6. They'd conceded 13 more than Leicester and 18 more than United. Lewis Dunk would inevitably sharpen up that backline and decrease the goal difference by a significant margin. Dunk made the most passes in the Brighton team this season too, with 2,251. This is significantly higher than second place Adam Webster's 1,880. Here we can see how vital Dunk is in terms of maintaining possession as well as ball progression for the Seagulls, a perfect fit for Frank Lampard's Chelsea. Lewis Dunk finished the season for Brighton on 99 aerial battles won, as well as 123 clearances. He's Premier League established, and he has proved he may well be England's best centre-back option behind the likes of Harry Maguire and Joe Gomez. With a plethora of rash displays from Sergio Aurier this campaign, we felt obliged to focus on a replacement for the Ivorian at right back. However, today we'll be focusing on the midfield department at Tottenham Hotspur instead. With Tanguy Ndombele not hitting the ground running since arrival, and even with Giovanni Lo Celso's slow start for the Lily Whites, Tottenham Hotspur may well dive back into the transfer market this summer again for a central midfielder. We feel that Atletico Madrid's Saul Niguez would be the perfect number 8 for Jose Mourinho's side. The Spaniard's output in terms of goal contributions is slightly underwhelming, however, he's deployed more as a box-to-box and only chips in with goals when he has to. Saul breaks lines for Atletico and is key in ball progression for Simeone's 4-4-2 system. The Spaniard has played 3,076 minutes this season, appearing in essentially every game for Simeone's side, a manager's dream having not been set back with any major injuries. Despite racking up just 1 assist in La Liga this campaign, he's not afraid to have a shot on goal, having 12 shots on target from a total of 34. Saul Niguez can afford to create and free roam due to the balance between him and Thomas Partey in midfield. He averaged 49 passes per match with a pass completion of around 80%. He scored 6 goals in the campaign, finishing second top goal scorer for Atletico. He scored more goals than Harry Winks, Tanguy Ndombele, Moussa Sissoko and Giovanni Lo Celso combined in the campaign. This is even more impressive considering goal scoring is not the number 8's main priority. After padding out the front line with the arrival of Steven Bergwijn in January, Spurs are pretty much set going forwards, having creators in Heung-min Son and Lucas either side of Harry Kane, obviously depending on the formation implemented by the manager. Saul Niguez would not only increase the ball progression for Spurs, but also chip in with the goals whenever needed. We feel that the Spaniard will be the ideal addition if Spurs were to push for the top 4 next season. Having secured Europa League football for next season, Leicester City are in desperate need for investment. Brendan Rodgers and co had done remarkably well to challenge Manchester United on the final day of the season, despite the fact they were 14 points ahead of them in February. The squad depth at Leicester has been a major issue this season. After a wonderful start to the campaign, cementing themselves in 2nd to 3rd place around Christmas time, the Foxes experienced a dramatic drop-off due to injuries to key players such as Wilfred Ndidi and Ricardo Pereira. Since the restart, integral players such as James Maddison, Ben Chilwell and Çağlar Söyüncü have all been set back through injuries and suspension. Champions League could have been confirmed if it wasn't for these circumstances. Having not replaced Riyad Mahrez after flogging the Algerian to Man City, Leicester's main point of weakness is their threat out wide. Harvey Barnes' output has been respectable this season, hitting a very decent run of form prior to the COVID-19 crisis, providing 6 goals and 8 assists. Jose Perez's 8 goals and 4 assists must be respected too, considering the Leicester number 17 has been deployed more as a right-sided midfielder, despite being more suited centrally. With no disrespect to Barnes and Perez, they aren't the calibre of players that will compete for major trophies, hence why we feel Wilfred Zaha would be the perfect addition to the Foxes' 4-3-3 system. We were torn between prioritising Brentford's Saïd Benrahma as a potential Leicester City target, however, we sway towards Premier League veteran Wilfred Zaha instead. Cutting Zaha some slack, apart from Jordan Ayew, the attacking prowess surrounding him is far from convincing. Christian Benteke has only chipped in with 2 goals and 1 assist in 24 appearances for the Eagles this season. Viewers of the Premier League know how much of a threat Wilfred Zaha is. He's a top professional and despite his underwhelming XG this campaign, Zaha completes 4.45 dribbles per 90 as well as 47 ball carries, proving vital for chance creation in Roy Hodgson's side. His screamer against Chelsea not long ago also exemplifies what Palace's talisman can produce. Reiterating our previous point, Wilfred Zaha's head clearly hasn't been at Crystal Palace for the last 12 months. His goal-creating actions has more than halved since the 18-19 campaign to 0.22 from 0.59. According to the Times, Wilfred Zaha has been given the blessing of Palace to leave the club this summer if they received an acceptable offer for their star player. Project Revamp at Arsenal is well underway. Mikel Arteta is slowly establishing his philosophy within the team, and you can see vast improvement on the pitch. 2 huge results at the back end of the season against Liverpool and Man City showcased the influence of Arteta on the players. The likes of Ceballos, Tierney and even Emi Martinez look completely different players. However, A mid-table finish for the Gunners is incredibly underwhelming considering the quality they do possess in certain areas. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang can only do so much. His teammates can't just be reliant on their talisman finding the back of the net every game. Since the resumption, Arsenal had tightened up at the back but only by a fine margin. Individual errors from the likes of David Luiz have cost the Gunners points more often than not. The Brazilian gave away another penalty on the final day of the season, setting the record for most penalties given away by a player in a single season with 5. This lack of defensive responsibility has been the recurring factor that has determined the outcome of games for Arsenal more often than not, so it's mandatory for the board to invest in at least one colossal centre-half. We feel Manuel Akanji, Borussia Dortmund and Switzerland international, could take Arsenal to the next level to potentially push for a top 6/top 4 season. Manuel Akanji is 24 years old, 6'1" in stature, and is comfortable playing with either foot, meaning he can be deployed at either right centre-half or left centre-half. Dortmund paid £15 million for Akanji back in January 2018, and he is contracted until 2022. Both Arsenal and Dortmund like to keep possession, and Akanji likes to bring the ball out from the back, stepping into midfield, fitting Arteta's system perfectly. Akanji can break lines through passes and is exceptionally quick off the mark. Going into more depth about Akanji's passing range, Akanji's diagonal passes are impeccable. They'd be utilised to the max with Pepe on the one side and Aubameyang on the other, along with fullbacks such as Tierney and Cedric pushing high and wide to receive. Another major factor that may see Akanji convert to the Premier League is that he already speaks English as well as 3 other languages. He is currently learning Spanish, Mikel Arteta's native language. Arsenal supposedly looked at Akanji last summer along with Dayot Upamecano, while they also spoke to Dortmund in January, but BVB had no intention of selling him as they had already offloaded Abdou Diallo to French giant PSG. Having played alongside Manuel Akanji for several years at international level, ex-club captain Granit Xhaka is close friends with the Swiss centre-back. Arsenal's CDM may play a big part in securing a transfer to North London. Arteta requires refreshing the number 5 spot if they were to be in serious contention for at least a top 6 finish next season. Jurgen Klopp's 2019-20 squad have delivered the Premier League title for Liverpool. It goes without saying what a special bunch of players Liverpool have at their disposal. It's their first title victory in 30 years, and it's difficult to determine an area to improve at a club who have just recorded 99 points this campaign alone. The only areas that could be there for the taking is at centre forward, despite Firmino's integral role in Klopp's system, as well as contributing to 9 goals and 8 assists in the 1920 campaign. An XG of 0.24 goals this season, Firmino's output hasn't been too underwhelming. However, you'd expect Liverpool's number 9 to score more than once at home throughout the entirety of the season. Firmino's versatility as a 9 is undeniably one of the best in the league. However, PSV's Donyell Malen would pose an alternative threat against oppositions who deploy more of a high line. The striker does what Firmino does and more. He tends to drop deep, and we've seen a lot in the Eredivisie this season. He often drifts wide to make himself an option to create space for others to run into. Along with Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah's devastating inverting runs, Donyell Malen's approach is also to get in behind and be on the shoulder of the last man as well. Donyell Malen has been one of the most poignant prospects in the Eredivisie during this campaign. Malen's market value around the region of £50 million is justified by the tremendous output for PSV Eindhoven. The PSV talisman has bagged 18 goals and has contributed to 7 assists in 33 apps this season. Malen's directness and ability to skip past his opposite number has been a major factor in his output throughout the season. Similar to Sadio Mane, he uses his pace and strength to drive into space whilst in possession, giving him more time to concentrate on his end product. He's very similar to Chelsea's new signing Timo Werner. After missing out on the German, Donyell Malen is the ideal alternative to play under Jurgen Klopp. Even as a backup, Malen would be a fantastic addition for the Reds. His breakthrough season may have took a turn for the worse with injury dilemmas. However, PSV will inevitably struggle to keep hold of their striker. And on that note, we'll be ending the video here. Be sure to subscribe to Getting Behind and drop a like if you enjoyed the video. We appreciate any feedback in the comments too, so be sure to drop a comment about any content you'd like to see in the channel in the future. And there'll be a link to our Instagram in the description as well. Our Instagram is our main media and news outlet, and we're narrowing down on 1,000 followers, so if you could drop a follow, that would be really appreciated. But for now, guys, be sure to get in behind, subscribe, turn that notification bell on, and peace.